Welcome, Art Guru. I'm Carmel Lim Torres, your host for today. Today's our episode 7, and we are still working on our mental wellness through the arts. And we have our wonderful colorists, our colorista guests today, Joyce and Jen, to chat about how we can color away our stress and maybe help our whole being with the act and process of using the arts and colors. So I'd like to introduce Joyce and Jen. They will first introduce themselves, and then we will go back and they will actually show us their works, maybe talk about their process and their experiences with being coloristas and being part of the largest community of coloristas in the Philippines. Welcome, ladies.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, Joyce. Would you like to start?
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Joyce Rosella Baleva. I'm a dentist by profession, but I'm a full-time mom of 3, and I have been married for 25 years in total. So I do coloring books as an adult to relieve stress and other crafty stuff. That's it.
Thank you so much, Joyce. And Jen.
Hi everyone, I'm Jennevie. I'm a teacher, a language coach, entrepreneur, a homeschooling mom, and a colorist. I do coloring to distress.
I love it. Because like we're art gurus, right? So like Kathy and I were talking, we're like, hey, this is how are we going to talk about within the framework of Art Guru? Because again, our target audience are the wonderful visual art and maybe all arts, performing arts, all arts, fine and performing arts, teachers and educators all over the Philippines. And you guys were just said you're a teacher, you're a language coach, and a homeschooling mom, and you're a full-time mother of 3. You guys are like lifelong educators. Right? So like you guys are art gurus. Yeah, completely. Would you guys like to share some of your works?
Okay, let me start.
Sure. Are you going to share your screen?
Yes, I'll share screen.
I'm going to mute my phone.
Okay. Oops. Okay, how do we do this? All right. So I am a mother of 3. This is my family. I have 3 kids and my husband of 25 years. I'm actually a dentist by profession, but we decided to put it in the background so that I can be full-time mom to my kids. I think the process of coloring came from my mom. My mom was an artist by heart. She's very crafty and artistic. She used to paint bottles and repurpose other stuff. And in 2015, when she passed away, I was looking for some things to carry on her legacy, and I came across coloring books for adults. These are some of my works through the years. I am still a work in progress, and I think there's always a part where you can learn in the process of coloring through the years. But I think I've improved a lot, but there's still a room for improvement. I love coloring very much. It takes my stress away by doing things that I love the most. And maybe it's part of me. It's the thought that I am trying to do what my mom was doing before, what she loved the most, because she used to paint. Unfortunately, she never had the chance to see what I was doing because she already passed away. So these are the things, the images that I have colored through the years. This one I gave my friend I gave to a friend of mine, and then this one is the one that that I joined in UST during a art what do you call that, Jen? Art
Exhibit.
uh, exhibit, yes, at UST. That would be all.
Thank you. I have so many questions. Can I ask some questions? What materials do you use? Is it color pencils?
Me primarily, I use colored pencils. But there are other media that I use, like sometimes I would use watercolor pencils or watercolor oil pastels, uh, markers. Those are the materials that we use as colorists. I'm not a professional artist. I'm just a hobbyist. I enjoy doing things, coloring, and I enjoy also collecting things. Like I would try out the materials and I would keep it for myself and I would share it with my children. Especially, I have a grade schooler. No, I have a grade schooler who used my stuff before, and my daughter who loves to draw. So it's actually a good investment on my
Nice.
end.
Yeah, a nice way to connect with your family as well. Because I'm also thinking, okay, so my background is I'm a fine arts graduate, but when I look at your beautiful, okay, I have so many issues. I have ADHD. Sorry, hang on. Number one, you're not just a hobbyist. You're a wonderful artist. Like you using the colors, the medium. I saw your close attention to the colors that you chose, the lightness and the darkness. You know, I like, do you use a reference? Because you had shadows. You know what I mean? Like there was so much thought into how you colored it. So I'm just like, I know hobbyists, sometimes you're like, I'm just a hobbyist. I'm like, dude, you're a wonderful artist hobbyist. Like, you're awesome. But do you have a reference when you know, especially with the face? Because faces are kind of hard, challenging to the shadow. How do you make it look realistic? You know, how do you make it not look like it's flat? How did you try to make it look realistic?
Of course, I always would copy. I look for references online, and because I don't have a knowledge on the nitty gritty things in shadowing. When we started in Sibap Coloring Book for Adults Philippines, when I started coloring, it was just one dimensional. It was flat, no shadows whatsoever. I just color. That's just how it is. I just wanted to. Actually, I just went through it also because it was the trend 8 years ago. So I joined it and I loved it. And it's been my longest hobby ever since. It's been 8 years. And so through the years, you learned how to put shadows and make it a little more dimensional by, of course, I through the help of tutorials online. And then in Sibap before, in Coloring Book for Adults Philippines, we used to have workshops,
Oh wow.
seminars. Yeah, and then
Oh, so
we would take a resource person who would demonstrate to us and show us because we don't really, most of us were just into it. We're just hobbyists. We're not really artists by ano, by we never really studied it.
oh wait, I so again, like I studied art in college and all that stuff. But you know what? We still use a reference as well. We're just the same. We also have to look at what we want it to look like. So I'm like, we use the same process. So you legit artist. Thank you so much, Joyce. I have more questions, but let's go to Jen, please. Are you ready to share?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, actually, I start coloring when a friend gave me this book, my
Ooh,
first book ever, The Secret Garden by Johanna Basford. And when I started coloring it brought me back to my childhood happiness when you put colors to your line art. And then we colored together with friends, with our relatives, and we really enjoy painting in these illustrations. And after so many years, after 8 years, yeah, we have a lot of collections of our work already. Here, let me show you some of my work. This is from Metamorphia. Because I love fantasy art. I love diving into my own dream world. And I also love coloring girls. See, just like this, coloring girls. Yeah. And we also learn a lot of skills with the group, with CBAP, with all the professional artists sharing their skills to us like that. And we enjoyed a lot. And when also I teach young kids, because I also teach young kids art, and also in our homeschooling, actually this is our homeschooling art wall with my son. This is his work. Yeah. I think he did this 5 years ago. And this one is more recent work. Yeah, and in our homeschooling, we also learn to color, to enjoy the process like that.
Wow, that was amazing. When you opened up that book, I was like, wow, you guys are so amazing. It's almost like they're like the illustrations of storybooks already, aren't they? Like I can already imagine them being like published with like stories. Um, so because we're talking about coloring away our stress and about how like the art process, the coloring process helps us deal with balancing life, especially all of us are juggling many hats in our lives. Um, and I noticed both of you guys said you connect with your children, you connect with your community, and what other ways do you think um, art or the process of coloring has helped you with your overall mental health?
Yeah, actually, years ago, I really suffered from anxiety, with all the noises around in our society and with all the self doubt, right? So a lot of things, a lot of stress. It really made us depressed, made us really hard to control our life. But when I started coloring, I felt like it calms me down. Yeah, because I always love the sound of the pencil brushing against the paper. It really calms me down. And because of that, I find that doing art can really bring us back to the quieter place, to calm our mind and to help us be more creative and focus on the details. And because of that, just like it distracts our mind from thinking all of those negativity and to be in our own happy place, even just for a few minutes every day. And because of that, you can now focus on the happy things, on positivity, and positive energy then comes in, and it changes your perception, and it really helps a lot.
Wonderful. Joyce, do you have anything to add?
Well, I am in a yaya-less household. So I am moving, I mean, for the kids and for the whole house the whole day. So during my quiet time, I make it a point to distress. It's either I just browse on the internet or color and sit down. This is my way of calming myself and trying to reboot, because this is my time to do something for myself. It is more for myself actually. And it's not that I'm trying to prove I'm trying to be better than anyone, because like for example, I've been with Sibap for 8 years, like you then Jen, no? We've been in Sibap for 8 years. And when you see people like Jen, she's a very good colorist. Uh, I get inspired by coloring for myself. That's what I do. And at the same time, when you finish a work, you feel happy and you feel that you have done something for yourself, not for your kids, not for your family. It's only for myself. So that's the reason why I stayed with coloring. And aside from that, collecting stuff. that's another that's another hobby, I think. When we collect, when we get our materials, like our books, we have the books, we have the pencils, we have the whatever media that we are using. So that's our form of happiness that help us deal with everyday life, especially during the pandemic. I really had I really had to take the time out, or even if it is very late when the kids are asleep, when because my husband is working late. My husband is working abroad, actually. His actually work from home, but his shift is US time. So that time, I that is for myself. I usually color around 2 to 3 hours to reboot my system from everything, actually.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing. It's almost like a meditation or like a deep self-care for yourselves, isn't it? I want to
Yes,
join
it
your
is. It is.
Oh, wonderful. Do you still accept new members?
Sure,
Yes,
we do.
we do all levels.
Oh, wait, do you still have classes? Do you still teach classes in the colorists community?
We usually do, the admin usually, they would usually hold that during anniversaries or Christmas, but lately, because after the pandemic, everybody was going back to their old schedule, so we skipped it this year. But last year when we had it, we had a 2 day seminars, 2 whole days of seminars and raffles. It was really fun.
Oh, how
But we would,
wonderful. And that's like a
yes.
community, right?
Yes,
Oh,
it's a big community, actually. It's kind of sad because everybody's getting going back to their usual life, and they're very busy, but some would still color and share their works.
mm. You
I
mean
know the
maybe
Actually,
Philippines anyway.
the community is really a big support, not only for the hobby, but support for each other.
Yes.
Yes.
yeah, because when you color, usually, like what you said, you do it at home, your quiet reboot time. It's a very, very private and very like almost spiritual and very private. You do it, and then but then when you have your community, you connect with each other. So, and then you show off your new hordes of shopping collection and
Oh yes.
your new tools and books. So there's so much, like you're right. All your dopamine is being met because you're happy in all ways, yourself
Yes, we
and
have a lot of enablers in Sibak.
Yes, you can meet people who can relate and who
Yes,
support you buying
because
this and
in
that.
some would not have that support at home, especially
oh
in coloring. Some would say, that's so childish. Why do you do that? It's just a waste of time and
Yes.
money. Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
We
some
experience
people would
it.
experience that. So, but when you're
So
in
fun.
Sibak, everybody's encouraging, actually, and we have, well, we had probably before, but now most of the people there are very encouraging and are lovely people.
I imagine so. And I'm thinking people who would judge this activity are like, meh, they should just try it. I honestly tried coloring when it was trendy. I had that first book that you showed, and I was like, oh, I remember it, but had all these little itsy bitsy shapes, and my ADHD brain was like, oh, and I couldn't kaya because there were so many little itsy bitsy
Little
shapes,
details.
Yes. It's
little
very
details.
challenging, actually.
Super.
It's not that easy.
No,
They
not
thought
at
it's the
all.
easy coloring. It's not that easy, actually.
No, and that's why. And then when I look at your works again, because I am from the art background, I'm like, you look carefully at the values, right? The lightness and the darkness. You put the shadows, you put the highlights. You really try to create form and make it look really like realistic and like fantasy. So I was like, you guys are amazing. I think that's why I was like, I really thought, to be
Thank
honest,
you.
coloring was very flat. Yeah, but you guys have totally changed my idea of that, because when I looked at it, I'm like, it's legit. It's like there's contour. It's amazing. Do you guys have regular exhibits as well?
Not at
Not
the moment.
really
We do not.
regular yet.
Right. Not at the moment. We have before they used to have. I think 2 years in a row before, prior to pandemic, they had it at UST. We were invited there to make an exhibit for 2 consecutive years, but the pandemic hit,
Yeah.
so we
I
never
think we
had
also
it again.
had an online, yeah, I think it was it during the pandemic. We had an online exhibit also. You
Oh,
remember
yeah.
that?
Yes. And you'll be
Yeah.
amazed. Some colorists, they ventured into watercolors as well. So you will see the how they've developed into real artists. I've known friends like April Nudgen. She used to
Mm.
color pencils. Now she's into watercolors and colors beautifully.
I still think you guys are real artists, so I don't know what you're talking about. But anyway, like I think you guys are real artists. Um, so Happy mentioned that Jen, you also taught um co-teaching and taught in the community itself. How was that uh for you, sharing your own techniques and skills with your community?
Actually, yeah, I mentioned about self-doubt, right? Of course, when we started, we think that my work is not good enough, my work is really bad, then it's always different from how I imagined it. But because of years and years of practice or doing it, we learn to accept the mistakes. We learn from the process. We learn to accept that however or whatever the product comes out, we still have to be proud of it because it's our own effort and our own work. And because of that, I really learned a lot of values, especially finding your self worth and self value with all this process. It's not only in coloring, but also in our life, like that. And it's the same values that now I'm sharing with my students, because especially young kids, they always say, "Ay, pangit ito. I don't like my own work." And we really encourage them that you really need to accept and learn. If you think that it's not good, you find ways to improve it. And if you think that there is some part of it that you're happy with it, then go for it. Be proud of it. So we try. So now in my teaching, we try to encourage more of this value. Yeah.
I love it. I'm like, that's all, because we've chatted with so many, not okay, this is our 7th episode, but we've chatted with several art educators around the Philippines, or just educators. And we noticed, no matter what discipline, no matter what age, there is that self-doubt, the insecurity, and especially because we are visual arts, where we have to see it. You have to show it to yourself or show it to your teacher, or so there's like that vulnerability of exposing yourself a little bit. And so I love how you're making it a true advocacy for yourself, the value of learning from the process, right? And I love that, accepting that it is
Accepting the mistakes. Yeah.
See, again, I'm from the really the other realm of, like, I came from a fine art background, but I still have that doubt. Do you know what I mean? I am an art teacher and I do have a sculpture degree, but I still have that, oh, I don't think I want to show it. Oh, they'll judge my work. Do you know what I mean? So even me, where I'm trained in it, I still have that insecurity. But just like you, from my own life experiences, I realize in my teaching, I actually model it to my students. I say, hey, you guys, I'm going to show you how to draw something. So you're going to watch me draw it. But I have to let you know, I'm a little insecure. I'm a little shy right now because if I'm not successful, you guys are going to think I'm a total bad drawer. But I'm just really nervous because I'm not used to drawing in front of 30 people. I'm used to drawing by myself. So in case I do make mistakes, I will erase and you guys will just work with me because that's how art is made. You know, we make mistakes. There's going to be some ugly stages in our artwork sometimes, right? And like the artworks we see in the museums, they were done after maybe like 10 years of experimenting, right? We can't do ours in 10 minutes and think it's a masterpiece. So I think, right, the expectations that sometimes our young ones, especially because it's so immediate. Have you noticed our kids are very like instant gratification, like it should be great now. And I'm like, it took us 5 hours to do this.
Yes, and we learn to be patient. We cannot do things right immediately and then have a very good result. And in doing things, we like in layering, it takes time. And because we have other things to do at home, we cannot really do it straight. So
Right.
so the process of finishing something, it takes a few days or even weeks. Sometimes you have to really
Months.
put it down. Right. Months, or I have one piece, it took a year. True.
Oh, like, oh, I want to try again.
This moon and sun mixture background, I really hated my own work. Yeah, self-doubt kicked in. Yeah, but when I said, oh, bahala na, whatever, I'm done with this. Let's see, I tried to post it in groups, in my Instagram, and I was shocked that this work, they labeled it as one of my masterpiece. So I said, that's how I learned that, oh, sometimes that when you think that it's not good, it's a blah, it's whatever. Actually, when I look back at it, it's okay. It was not that bad. Yeah, that's why I said the support of the community is really very important.
Right. And it puts you in check, right? Because you put yourself so yeah, you put yourself in a low, you perceived it as a not so great work. But then the community brings it back into your face going, no, it's actually awesome. Which is wonderful. I love it. But how long did that take you?
This one, I think around 3 weeks.
Like hours. I'm like
hours, yes, hours and hours. It's a coloring along. That's coloring along that we color the same image together. So it's also fun to see different interpretation of the same line art.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so the same line art, but you can see different people have different interpretation of that, different output, because they use different imagination, different colors for it, like that. And that's also one of the fun parts in coloring.
That's awesome. See, I'm quite, yeah. So like in art education, I was just talking about Kathy about this. This is like one of the things I love. Again, I'm trained in the arts, so I'm very formal in the way I tackle teaching art. Like I teach them the elements and principles of art, you know, line, shape, color, form, texture, space, and value, right? And you guys are coloristas. You focus on the color. And some people might be like, well, you know, like the bashers or those ignorant people who think you're just coloring because it's already a drawn line image, which is the lines, right? But you're coming up with the story with the color and the values and the texture. So like, that's a lot.
Yeah, but actually, it's also interpreting the line art. Yeah. You interpret it to be how you want it to be, like that.
Yeah, like the one you showed us. Not everyone would make it a sun and a moon, right? Maybe some people made it just a sun or just a moon. Or a crystal ball or a tennis ball. I don't know.
Yeah, you can make whatever you like.
Oh, yeah. So that's so wonderful. And so when you guys did that, all of you guys would have the same book and then you would color the same page and then show it at the end?
Yes.
How wonderful. And then share the process and the story behind it.
Exactly.
Love it. How wonderful. So do you think this the act of being mindful, being patient, do you think in the young people that your children or your students or the people you see around them, can they sit with you and color with you? Do they have the patience to do it?
Sure.
I don't
Yes,
know.
they do,
Some
and
would,
they like it.
some would, maybe some would really do it, but I don't think they would. It will take a lot of patience for the children to really make a really good image if they want to do it the way we do it. Because before we started like one dimensional thing, they would usually end up with the one dimensional, and then they would be discouraged to continue and tell themselves that it's not good. So it's a process actually of learning and asking for help actually.
I love
And
that.
true enough, yes, Jen, acceptance that you cannot really do it immediately.
Yeah. I love that asking for help, right? And like
Yes.
being in a safe community where you can ask for help without judgment and getting good help. I think that's what I think as Filipinos, that's what we want. And as art teachers, that's what we need. Because sometimes we feel like we are an isolated island, especially during the pandemic, and having that community of safe, creative minds similar to you helped you with your mental well-being as well. So as a creative person, what would you suggest if like I'm a newbie to a colorista? What would you? How would I start? How would I start?
Just get your colors and do it.
Just start coloring.
Yeah, just sit down and get your colors and just put
Yes,
colors. That's all.
that's just how we started. We just got
Love
an
it. Just
image,
sit down
we
and
got a
color.
book, and then we just started to color. That's how it is.
Just sit
And
down and
then
color.
yes, and then you try to improve on the process of coloring,
I love it.
but by watching videos on how to do it. I mean, you copy the process of other colorists. There are many colorists who have YouTube videos, and then you try to imitate their process and learn
Nice.
at the same time. Not necessarily copy exactly what they're doing, but you learn. I mean,
Right.
like me,
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
have no idea how to do it right before. But now I can do it with shadows. But I'm still a work in progress. After 8 years, I'm still
Oh
a work in progress.
my, who isn't?
Actually, what I learned also, it's not really how you do it right or wrong, because that's what they say. There's no right or wrong in art, right? So it's how you do it that will make you happy, that you have the output that will satisfy you.
How you do it. The acceptance.
Yes.
The patience, the want. So like again, yeah. If it's a young person who's been on their iPad, who has like a coloring app, and then they just go touch, 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 and it's colored, they're gonna freak out when they are faced with a color with if I make it for like 15 minutes to color it. Now add. Now blend it. Now layer it. Now burnish
Right.
it. Now it's maybe we
It
have to
really
like
takes patience to do that, especially the kids nowadays. Most of them are digital. I mean, they're on their gadgets, and
Yes.
but in school
They're
naman they do
fast paced.
coloring, right? That's why when my youngest son was when he had art classes in school, so I tried my best to teach him what I learned in my own drawing. That's how it is, and then but you can see how impatient they would be. But you have to explain to them that it is a process. You cannot finish a task immediately and have a good outcome. It is a process that they will need to learn, applying it now in his work, but eventually applying it in life. That's how it is. Like with us, we apply it now in our images that we color, but eventually we apply it in life.
That's wonderful. I'm just thinking, okay, some of our listeners or viewers are public school teachers or art teachers in the classroom, and they'll be like, I don't have time. I don't, I only have 60 minutes a week. So it would be a great seed to plant in the students for them to have as a hobby on their own, right? For them, rather than doing screen time or chatting or online shopping at home, they can be doing this instead at home, right? Because you can't do it in a classroom setting. It takes too long, right? Does it? Or how does the classes go? Or you teach them small samples that they take home and then bring it to their coloring sheet? I don't know.
So we usually have several sessions for one piece.
Oh,
Just like for today, we do this part first. Just like how do you do the sky? How do you paint this? Or how do you do your subject like that? How do you color that?
oh. So, okay, if you're doing a page and it was like, for example, like the one behind you with the leaves and the fairy, that would take like 4 sessions.
Yeah,
No,
maybe
there's
we can do the background first, and then the
oh,
leaves. How do you do the leaves? And how do you do the girl? How do you color the skin tone? Just like that, part by part.
I love it. It's amazing. No, because it's great, right? That's like, because in education, that's chunking. I mean, that's exactly, it's called scaffolding, right?
Yeah,
Because
because
like, yeah, it's
yeah, you will
overwhelming
get
as a
overwhelmed.
whole.
Yes,
Yeah.
you will get overwhelmed. So we do it part by part.
Oh, and part by part, you have a group of
Yeah,
color.
even with this, with my kids' work, we also did the subject first, and then waited for it to dry, and that's the part that we take a break, and then we go back and do the background like that.
Right. I love it. Okay, see, art gurus, take some tips step by step. And you can also do color theory while you teach it, right? So like in the leaf next to the Totoro, you can do like, okay, these are the leaves. This is monochromatic. These are dark green, light green, medium green, and white, right? So you're teaching them art theory as well. And then on top, it's a different kind of leaf. So you add a yellowish, right? So I'm like, oh, so it's also teaching them to look closely as well. How
So
wonderful.
observe.
I know. Now I'm going, okay. All right. So again, our theme was coloring away stress. So you guys have clearly colored away some stress, and it's an ongoing process in your lives, and it's you're living it, right? You're living a better balanced life because of your coloring practice. What advice would you give to somebody who's a bit lost, a bit stuck? Have you met some people especially after the pandemic, they're a little stuck and they don't know how to get out of it? What advice would you give them to unstuck themselves?
Okay, I'll start. I think an advice that I can give to someone who is stuck on something, yeah, yes, first to know the reason for their problems, and learn to accept that sometimes we need others to help ourselves. Aside from that, we need to love ourselves, that we have to take care of ourselves. We have to learn to deal with it ourselves. And then if we cannot manage it on our own, then we can ask the help of others. Aside from that, we have to take time to step back and see the whole picture, because sometimes we might be focusing on something that that we can see a different solution when we step a little further, a little farther. So I think that's it.
Thank you. I love
For me, I think that a lot of times we have so many distractions, so many things going on in our own mind that sometimes we don't even know that these things are already affecting our mental health. So what can I advise is give yourself a quiet time to pull yourself out of all of these distractions so that you can find your own hobby, your own interest, or anything that you can do to make you focus on your own happiness, on your own well-being, and then maybe step back first and think and be quiet, be calm. Actually, a lot of times what we need is to be quiet. Yeah, that's what I learned all these years. So after that rebooting time, then go face your world, go face your challenges. That's all.
I love it. Thank you so much, Joyce and Jen. I feel like you guys are such wonderful souls, and thank you so much for sharing your beautiful artwork. You guys are artists. I don't know, not just hobbyists. You guys are legit artists. Thank you so much for sharing this time with us. As an art educator and art guru, I'm also taking notes going, that is true, not just as a person being stressed, but also as a teacher. We also have to give our students quiet time, not always rushing, hurry up. You know, I don't know, but sometimes we're like, hurry up, we have to finish it now. But I love it, and taking a step back going, hey, that kid actually tried really hard. Even though it looks really bad, he tried really hard.
Yeah,
Let's
and another advice, maybe it's okay to rest, to take a rest.
True that. Like, I love it because so many people are burnt out and burning out.
Right.
Yeah. And yeah, you guys are so wise. Thank you so much for joining us today for this time in Art Guru, episode 7, Coloring Away Our Stress. And you guys, we have talked away my stress. Thank you so much for your wonderful energy. Thank you so much, Jen and Joyce, for joining us. And all of you guys, listeners and viewers and art gurus, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. We love you guys. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.